Hey everyone, Wasim here from the channel Handsome Smiles. Welcome to another video. It's been a long time since I've said that, and it's been a long time since I've released a video. I think it's been about a year and 4 months since I last released a video, and then there's been just one thing or another which has stopped me from coming back. But today I felt like making a video, and so here I am. And it's going to be a top 5 spring fragrances, a seasonal list finally on the Handsome Smiles channel after about 8 years. And there's good reason for that. I think when I initially started reviewing on YouTube, my collection was quite small, and I'd have a few bottles in my collection which I'd really wear throughout the season. So in the winter I'd wear specific fragrances in my collection, in the summer and the spring I'd wear other fragrances which I would always wear in those seasons. So it made sense to make like a top 5 or a top 10. And in those early years as well, I was testing a lot of fragrances during those seasons, so it made sense to make seasonal list. But after reviewing after a few years, I really started then reviewing fragrances individually, and I was testing a lot of fragrances regardless of the season. So it didn't make any sense to create seasonal lists because they would have just been fake. Because I wasn't wearing those fragrances for that season. I was just wearing them because I was testing them to do a review on YouTube. So today is going to be a top 5 spring fragrances, and these are fragrances which I've really been wearing the last couple of weeks because the weather here in the UK has really brightened up, and spring is just around the corner. And I've picked up a new fragrance which I can't stop wearing. I've worn it 5 days in a row since I've bought it. I've had the sample of that fragrance for the past 5 years since it was first released, and I just bought a bottle and I'm just loving it. And it's probably one of the reasons why I thought about making a video. So top 5 fragrances for the spring. These fragrances are not going to be in any particular order, but the first one I want to really talk about has been my signature fragrance in the past year or so, about the past year and a half. So I bought this fragrance a year and a half ago. This is Dolce&Gabbana Homme, and this is the Made in France version. So prior to this was the Made in UK version, which I reviewed on this channel, which I really enjoyed. I had that in my collection like 10 years ago, and then I sold it because I wasn't wearing it as much because I was testing other fragrances and wearing a lot more oud and others. But I've bought this again about a year and a half ago, Made in France version, because some people I saw on Fragrantica and Base Notes were saying the performance is actually good on this. And I have to agree, guys. The performance on the Made in France version is so much better than what you were getting in the Made in UK version. In case you don't know, this was originally released in 1996, I believe, Dolce & Gabbana, and many people consider the first release to be the Euro Italia version, which was made in Italy, and it used to have a sticker, and that's how you can differentiate between that initial version and the subsequent releases afterwards. After the Italian version, there was the Made in Germany version, which many people still consider to be a very good reformulation. And after that came the Made in UK version, which many people hated. I personally thought it was quite a good, very, very good fragrance in my opinion. But then I bought the Made in France version, and the full performance on this is very good. I get about 6 hours of longevity with decent projection. It's not going to scream out loud. It's not a beastly sort of performing fragrance, but you can definitely smell it on yourself, and it smells absolutely beautiful. Let me just give it a spray. And this has been my signature fragrance in the last year and a half. Absolutely beautiful opening where you get a lot of citruses, a blast of citruses, and this cleanness coming from the note of the lavender. You also pick up a little bit of fresh spiciness and a little bit of warmness from the tobacco. Every time I wear this fragrance, it makes me feel like I'm an Italian gent. I know I'm not Italian, I'm ethnically Indian, but it feels like I'm a gentleman who's really well dressed, really fashionable, walking around on a sunny day in Italy, maybe on a nice canoe going through the canals of Venice. And that's how I feel like I smell when I'm wearing this fragrance. In case you don't know, this wedding ring, past 2.5 years I've been married, and my wife absolutely loves this fragrance on me. She can't stop hugging me and being close to me whenever I wear this. I mean, usually she can't stop being near me, but this one really helps even more. So Dolce&Gabbana Boucheron is the first fragrance I'm going to be talking about of the 5 that I'm going to be really wearing this spring and have been wearing quite a lot of. So this, I've worn it for the past year and a half, and I don't think I've gone through a fragrance as quick. So first one, Dolce&Gabbana Boucheron. If you want to smell like an Italian gent, this is fantastic. Great stuff. Okay, next on the list is another classic gentlemanly scent, much like Dolce&Gabbana Boucheron, and that's fragrance from the house of Boucheron, and this is Boucheron Homme. And this one is the Eau de Toilette. I've also got the Eau de Parfum in my collection. Eau de Parfum I did a first impressions of. It's a good fragrance, it's nice, but the Eau de Toilette I much prefer over the Eau de Parfum. The Eau de Toilette for me is lighter and fresher, and so it works a lot better for me in the springtime. The Eau de Parfum is richer and more deeper, especially on the lemon note, but I much prefer the fresher aspect of this fragrance, and for me this one smells a little bit more gentlemanly as well. So let me give this a spray. It's such a beautiful, classy bottle, and this one again is super crisp, super clean citruses in the opening, and it has like an aromatic sort of smell to it as well. It's fresh, citrusy and aromatic. For me, this one, it lasts on my skin around 5 hours. The initial 2 hours or so, the projection is quite good, but after that it sits a little bit more closer to the skin. But again, when you wear this, you're going to smell nice and clean and fresh. And whenever I wear this, I do again feel like such a clean, crisp gentleman. Imagine wearing a white shirt with this. I think it pairs beautifully. So that's the second fragrance I'm going to be talking about in my top 5 spring list for this year, 2024. That's Boucheron pour Homme and the Eau de Toilette version. Okay, moving on. The third fragrance I'm going to be talking about. If you're an old timer on my channel, you'll know this is one of my absolute most favorite fragrances of all time. And this is L'Eau de Boucheron by Issey Miyake. Unfortunately, Issey Miyake, the founder of the fragrance house, or the fashion house, I should say, passed away. I believe he passed away last year or the year and a half ago. So unfortunately, he passed away, but this is such a gem. I believe this was released in 1994, and at that time, this was a real change in the male perfumery industry. At the time, if you're just thinking about it, the 80s, fragrances coming out during those times were real powerhouses. Think Fahrenheit, think Antaeus, Draco Noir. People were wearing these deep, dark fragrances. Not Draco Noir as much as Deep Dark, but it still was quite a punchy and beastly fragrance. And then this came out, which was really different, really strange at the time. A citrusy, fresh fragrance with some floral notes. So let me give this a spray, and then we can talk about how it smells. It's just going to be I've got a full review on my channel. This is just one of the most beautiful, best smelling fragrances. I've had this fragrance in my collection since 2011, I would say 2011. So 13 years, and I can never get bored of this fragrance. It's citruses, it's some spices, and it's got some floral notes. I believe the note of lily is quite predominant in this fragrance. It's mainly the citrus fruit called yuzu, which is a Japanese citrus fruit that really shines in this fragrance. I've not worn another fragrance that has a yuzu note as good as this one. Performance on this is beautiful on my skin. I think it lasts around 10 hours. Projection is excellent as well. Funny story on this one. I think if you've been on my channel before, I've said it in previous videos, and I said it in my initial review of this fragrance, that this would be the fragrance that I would wear on my wedding day. And my wife, before we got married, she came across my YouTube channel. We were talking at this stage, we were already engaged, and she was watching some of my videos and she came across this video, and in the video I said, oh, this is the fragrance I'm going to be wearing on my wedding day. And I made that video years ago before I even knew she existed. And she was like, oh wow, this is the fragrance you want to wear on our wedding day. Let me go to the shops and see how it smells, because she's never smelled this before. And as soon as she smelt it, she messaged me on WhatsApp and she said, oh my God, you like this fragrance? It's terrible. It smells so bad. It's so lemony. And she speaks Urdu. She says, it smells khatta, very khatta, which means it smells really sour. And guys, I was so heartbroken when she said this. So, like you would imagine from me, I didn't wear this on my wedding day. I wore oud instead. I wore some Indian oud from the house of Ensar Oud. And to be honest, she quite enjoyed that one actually. But funny story is, about 3 months after we was married, I was just getting ready for work and I sprayed this on and I left the house, and she woke up and she could still smell this because I sprayed it in the bedroom. And she texted me saying, oh my God, what was you wearing this morning? It smells heavenly, absolutely divine, absolutely beautiful. You smell incredible, I'm sure. What was that fragrance? And you can imagine my annoyance when I told her it was this. And then every time I wear this now, I gotta prove a point. Like, you stopped me from wearing this on our wedding day. And she absolutely loves this on me now. And she really says, oh, it's your skin chemistry, because in the shops, it didn't smell as nice, but on you, it smells absolutely delicious. So yeah, L'Eau de Homme by Issey Miyake, a staple for me in my collection. I think this is perfect for spring, perfect for all seasons, I think. Because just how versatile it is, how beautiful it smells. One of my most complimented fragrances as well. I don't really get compliments, but this one has got me many compliments over the years. The wife loves it as well. I love it. I think it's perfect for the spring. And for me now, it's got quite a funny backstory as well. So L'Eau de Boucheron by Issey Miyake is the third fragrance on this list. I'm going to leave my newest edition and probably my favorite fragrance at the moment to last, but the next fragrance I'm going to be talking about is another gentlemanly fragrance, and this is Vetiver from the house of Guerlain. So I've had this in my collection for quite a long time now. Actually, I think I've had this in my collection for the past 7 years. I reach for it now and then. It's not one of my absolute favorite fragrances, but on the odd occasions in the spring, this really shines, especially here in the UK. Spring sometimes get a little bit cooler, but it's still quite warm that you don't really want to be wearing a really heavy wintry fragrance. And in those occasions, this really shines. So predominantly, like the name suggests, this is a very strong vetiver fragrance, but it does have a very healthy dose of tobacco as well. So where did I spray? 1, 2, 3. I think I can spray my forearm here. So this is like a really dry, rooty vetiver scent and quite earthy as well. But there's an element of citruses in this which gives it a freshness which works really well in the springtime. Performance on this is excellent as well. I get about 8 hours with a fairly strong projection as well. The wife also enjoys this, surprisingly. I think some people don't tend to like vetiver as much, but she tends to like this one. Like I've said, in the spring, this really shines when it's a little bit cooler, especially here in the UK, but it's not super warm and not super cold as well. So in those medium days, this one really shines. And again, whenever I wear this, I feel like I'm about 45 years old, and I'm not that old. It does have a old school, more mature, gentlemanly vibe. So it works really well formally as well. If you're going for a walk in the park, I think this one works great as well. So that's Guerlain Vetiver, the fourth fragrance, and this is the Eau de Toilette version. And lastly, it's a fragrance that initially I was hesitant to get because you feed into all this rubbish that you see on either YouTube or Fragrantica or Base Notes about reformulations. So this is the 2017 version of Eau Sauvage Parfum. Now, I've reviewed the 2012 version here on my channel when I had a sample, which I absolutely adored. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. It was this beautiful benzoin, rich, myrrh fragrance with a touch of citruses. And when this was released, people were saying, yep, the benzoin's been removed, the myrrh's been removed, and it's not the same fragrance anymore. And I read the reviews at the time and I thought, you know what, that's such a shame. It's been reformulated. I'm not going to wear it. And then I think a few years later, after 2017, I believe it was 2019 or something, I bought a small sample and I was like, wow, this is actually quite beautiful. I don't know why people were criticizing it at the time. And then a few weeks, I think it was about a week and a half ago, I went into, I think it was Harrods. I was in London at the time with my wife, and I sprayed this and I was like, I have to get this. So I told the person at Christian Dior, have you got the 100 ml bottle? And they didn't, they only had the 50 ml bottle. So I bought it online instead, and I just can't stop wearing this. I think I've worn it 6 days in a row, and I can imagine myself wearing this a lot in the next few months. So I'm going to spray a little bit on my skin, and then we can talk about how it smells. It just smells like a niche fragrance. You can get this for about £100 for 100 ml here in the UK, but I've not even smelled niche fragrances at the quality of this one, especially fresh fragrances. This is expertly made. It's masterfully crafted, in my opinion. It's a modern classic. When you wear this, you feel like a proper gentleman. You feel like a rich person. Not in a bad way, as in you feel like you're done well in life when you wear this one. It starts off with a blast of citruses, much like the 1960s version. Again, which I have quite a backstory with actually. And as the fragrance develops, it starts getting a little bit more deeper. It has more, I believe there's still a note of some, it's the note of elemi in this. So I believe they replaced the myrrh with elemi, and elemi has like a resinous feel as well as like a citrusy note on top overtone, and it works beautifully on this scent. Something I don't think I've ever seen anyone mention regarding this 2017 version, and it's not listed in the note breakdown, but I definitely get it on my skin, is the note of licorice. And I don't know why I get this note. It's not in the note breakdown. I don't think it is. But I think the combinations of the different notes in this fragrance and the characteristics it has, it gives me the smell of licorice in a very, very fresh type of way. A beautiful licorice fragrance is Lolita Lampica Un Masculin, which I absolutely adore, which was created by Nick Minardo. That's a deeper, darker fragrance, but this is like a fresher version of a licorice, in my opinion. So this one lasts on my skin a long time, I think about 10 hours. Projection is really good, and the wife really enjoys this one on me as well. She can't stop smelling me. Last week and a half, she says this smells incredibly classy, very clean, very crisp. This one you can wear to the office, you can wear it to a formal occasion, any seasons. I think this works great, but I think in the springtime it really shine. Yeah, I think I can see this becoming a signature scent in my collection. So there you have it, guys. Those were my top 5. To recap, not one, they're not in any particular order, but the first one I spoke about was Dolce&Gabbana pour Homme. This is the made in France version. The next fragrance I spoke about was Boucheron pour Homme, the eau de toilette version. Then I spoke about L'Odyssée pour Homme by Miyake. At number 4, the fourth fragrance I spoke about was Vetiver by Guerlain. And the last fragrance I spoke about was Sauvage Parfum, but probably this spring I think I'm going to be wearing this one the most. So guys, those were my top 5 spring fragrances. Let me know if you'd like to see any other videos on my channel. I think I'm going to be coming back and filming more videos on this channel. So a massive hello to my subscribers. I have really missed you guys, and I can't wait to make another video. Until next time, my friends, see you later.